right, we do have everyone here, so, are there any adjustments to tonight's agenda? Okay, do I hear a motion to approve, adopt the agenda as presented?
I'll move.
Okay. First item, consider approval of adjustments to graduation requirements. Turn it over to the superintendent.
It's back on the agenda for the third time. Yes, ma'am.
But I like it because this is a big deal, and I like that board members, it's like, we need to be sure of what we're doing, so.
So I'm going to kick it back to you guys on
Okay.
your thoughts.
Okay, so I'll open it up to the board.
I cannot in good conscience approve a year-long capstone project for those seniors when there's so many other AP or elective courses they might like to take in that spot. A lot of the kids have already done that kind of work in projects or activities that they've belonged to, and requiring them to be in a class year-long for that, I just, in good conscience, I can't say yes.
I would agree.
I think, from the questions the other night, the feeling that I got was not that there was an objection to a capstone project, but that it being a requirement. That supporting a capstone project for certain populations is, and you guys tell me if that's kind of what I got from our conversation last time. Is from certain populations it would work well, and for others it wouldn't work. And then I think the big concern I have is our staff. This is a big shift, and for the staff to need to come up with something that has an equitable rubric for grading, and that it can be, I think that the idea is a good idea for a capstone project, but I like it being an elective. But other thoughts from board members?
I agree. It should be elected. I don't think we should make a requirement.
And the superintendent's thoughts? I know you're catching up because, we were talking about it last time, but.
I do know that in our applications that we've got, like Innovation Zone and all those different applications to receive funding, there is a requirement for capstone for those different CTE pathways. And the state is mentioning it, and I think as we worked on Portrait of a Walk Path, Portrait of Graduating, and they mentioned it a couple of years ago, so we got ahead of it, and now it's becoming a requirement. We're going to go with what the board feels needs to happen, but I definitely want to keep it at least for an elective, for those that want to take this on.
So when you're saying it's a requirement, you're not saying it's a requirement for graduation. It's the district has to show evidence that they offer a capstone project. Is that what is that what for the requirement? Okay. Mr. Dunlap? I know, it's,
It was a lot to go over.
it was a lot to go over. And the discussion that we had before was, there's such a variance, and please, you guys jump in, anybody wants to add to it, there's such a variance of what falls under the capstone that, how do we set that up, right out of the blocks for a requirement? And I agree. I like the option of kids being able to do a capstone project, and it could be in a few years. It's like, okay, we have all these kids doing it, and then we revisit that again. But I think it's a nice option. But as you said, Ms. Ansel, at the last one, our kids are so tied down with options and the things they want to take, and it limits them, and different pathways they want to go. I mean, that was, then all of a sudden something they wanted to do, they can't. And I know they can't do everything, but at the same time, that really put a limit on some of them. So I think it was a good point to bring up, so.
If somebody's wanting to do a third year of Spanish and AP Environmental Science, and seventh period athletic trainer, they've got one elective, and I don't
Right.
think we should dictate that they should have to do that as a capstone project.
So based on the wording in the agenda, what we're going to be doing is approval of adjustments to the graduation requirement. So what I need to hear is a motion for what we would like it to look like. As far as, and we're just talking about that third bullet, the district, and one of them will be the communication skills. And then, if I'm understanding everybody correctly, the other one would be an elective.
Now, is communication all year long or a semester?
Well, you guys need to decide what your two requirements are gonna be.
Right, that's what we were saying, those two. And so communications, we already had that one, is that a year long is what she was asking?
Yes. No, it's whatever that was our recommended to come up with two credits, so it could be a semester.
Well, I mean, I think our kids need communication
Well,
skills.
but
Yeah.
I think they need it in eighth grade. If they're gonna start working on a capstone project, even as an elective, they need some communication skills before they even start on that, I think. So if we started communications even in eighth grade, because we have kids doing presentations in culinary arts and in the science and in, robotics and,
Yeah, it's the cohort that's coming in, it's our eighth graders this year, so it begins as
Oh,
fresh.
okay.
So that's what you guys are determining is the cohort coming in next year, what their two classes are gonna be, or their electives, or what they're.
The two,
So it can't be, it has to be an elective, I mean, it has to be a communication and Spanish, or it has to, we have to pick something, can't you say elective in there? Or can it?
You can say, like, what I heard you say with the capstone would become an elective.
right, so we wouldn't name it.
Correct, is that right, Dr. Butler? They would name it? It says 2 credits at the board's determination.
Right.
And so from what I'm understanding, the capstone would not be a requirement. but
Right.
You guys are saying it would become
An elective.
an elective.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
your long elective class, semester,
I think a semester.
See, I would
can't
like to
imagine
leave
having a
those two, I
classroom.
mean, is there something, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No,
Go ahead.
that's fine. Having a classroom full of kids that, I just picture my classroom full of kids that don't know what they're, I mean, is there curriculum? Is there guidance for the teachers? Who's gonna teach it? When they don't have, how do you grade it? We've got to give them numerical grades, and do you do tests? Do you do weekly grades? How do you, I just see lots of problems for the teachers, if it's especially year-long.
so I'm hearing you say the capstone will become a semester elective class.
I think,
And
but that's,
communications a year-long class.
But that wouldn't give them 2 full units. Right.
yeah.
It's listed as one of the board credits. It should be listed, it's listed right now on the prerequisites for, like, a capstone project would be an elective credit. But if it's a board recommended, even if it's because you could do it and give them credit for, if it's listed there, all kids would have to do it if it's listed.
No, we don't want that. I don't believe that's what the board's wanting.
So it shouldn't be from.
It would be, just like if we said hospitality or, any of those.
It
Yeah.
would be an elective just to take, but it shouldn't be listed as a recommended. So you could say 1 credit, the board just, the required class is an elective, communication skills, 1 credit, and then the other credit.
Is elective.
Kids to take an elective of their choice.
That's what I like.
I do too.
I like the kids being able to do what meets their needs, because I would like to see how many of them decide to do a capstone project. You know, I think there's a learning curve to happen there. If you've got some kids that are like, I don't know, maybe they're in work-based learning or something, it's like, can we do this? And I think then that kind of can help guide, okay, how does this gonna work? You know, so I like the communication skills and an elective.
The capstone project could be done in just in class.
Right.
Yeah.
They could get, half of the credit for it and not even attend class, just hear the guidelines, just use the advisor type of thing, for that.
So the Spanish students that work on, the, huh? Yeah, the bilingual seal, would that count as a capstone project? I mean, they have to put together all kinds of stuff and make a presentation and, yes. Okay,
So that would work towards.
yeah. But they
So-
do that in their Spanish class for the most part and in their spare
Right.
time. They wouldn't
And
have
then
to
they
take
spend a lot
another
of their
capstone.
other
Yeah.
extra time and to get
Yeah.
credit for that.
Yeah.
So right now, we have the 3.5 units of electives plus the 2 for district. And so, do I hear a motion that the districts, 2 are communication skills and another elective? Is that,
Yes, I agree.
okay.
I will make that motion.
Okay, I didn't really know how to roll that out.
Allow the
Anybody
kids.
else want to rephrase it? Go right after it, you know? Okay, the motion, that the district's, choices for graduation requirements is 1 unit of communication skills and 1 unit of the elective of the student's choice. Is that right?
Yes, very good. Thank you.
Okay.
Capstone being listed as.
It's one of them, just like baking is or whatever. Okay.
If you look under the electives, it is listed there.
That's, I was sitting there going through the course descriptions and stuff. Okay. And really, Dr. Parker, I know that we have inundated you with questions, and thank you for your patience with this. I know it's a lot of work, and I know it's a change that we may see coming, but I hesitate to shift on the fly when we still have so many unanswered questions. So thank you very much.
In a few years, you'll be putting that in, so that just like attendance, just get credit for attendance.
Yeah, yeah. So,
All good, we'll get there.
thank you. So we had a motion and a second?
Oh, I made the
Second.
motion.
He did, yeah. Bradley. Now Mr. Williams can tell his counselors, here's what we're doing. I know you guys have kind of been sitting on go on some of this, so thank you for your patience as we kind of worked through that. Okay, next item, consider approval of the 25-26 school calendar, and I'll turn it over to the superintendent.
Yes, ma'am. So before you, you have key takeaways on the proposed calendar. I just put a draft together for you to give you some other tidbits. And then the voting across the district, what each draft received. And you will see there which draft won, according to the district. So of approximately 550 employees, we had 291 employees respond. Out of the 291 responses, 126 voted for the winning draft that you see before you. So I'm open to any recommendations that you would like to make or approve or not approve.
All right, I'll open it up to the board. I think it's a consensus that we all know that,
You don't want to approve it at all.
yeah, that the 189 days and just for, you know, y'all's knowledge, and board members are actively looking at getting some clarification of some wording because it doesn't help us for this year, but moving forward, and we are determined to really push on this, and we've already reached out to some legislators and will continue to do so, because the only thing in any capacity that's listed in days is K-12 plus. Every professional development, in any industry, anything you do is in hours. And so we have been working on moving forward with that because there's a better way to do this. It can be a district choice, but there's a better way to do this, so. But anyway,
There
sorry.
was some talk about a calendar that didn't start as early, but then went after, came back after,
That's what I was gonna say, Hobbs right is doing that, I think.
come back after, actually Hobbs goes into June. If we came back after Memorial Day and did that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we'd still get out in May. But I didn't, you talked about putting together a couple of drafts of that.
I did, work with my team on, proposal number 5, and, I do have a mock-up of what that would look like when coming back after Memorial Day. I don't know what you want me to do, I just have, I do have, I made copies of it.
Have we, I mean,
Oh, I think it would have to go out, we're not the ones
it'd
doing
have
it,
to
it's
go
the
out to-
teachers. I think it would have to go back out to the teachers. for
I
about-
would be, I absolutely would have to see proof in the pudding on that one
Yes, yeah.
because I mean, and maybe the staff does say no
Memorial
problem
Day
coming
is so
back.
early this year,
To see what it would look like.
Sure.
that even if we came back that week after, that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we'd still get out in May and not have to go into June, like most of the rest of the world.
Oh, thank you. Apparently I don't know how to pass out papers. Put your name in the right-hand corner. So you're still starting in July. The staff and the students are still starting in July. They would just start 2 days later?
But it puts in an October break, right? Is that in the,
But the one we had, well, the one that you're asking for approval on right now has the
Okay.
October break. So if, okay,
It
let me
puts
look.
in, yeah, it starts then and puts in all of Thanksgiving week, right?
Okay, so where we pick up those 4 days of coming back after Memorial Day is
1.5?
the 2 days in Thanksgiving break, so it's a full week. And then the 2 days in July. So students with this number 5, students would begin on Thursday, the 31st, and Tuesday, the 29th is the current one.
Monday, the 28th is when staff would report.
Right. You know, and again, whatever the staff would want to do on that, I'm a little disappointed that less than half of our staff responded. But, oh, no, it's not your fault. And so what that tells me, and a lot of them say, you know what, I'm gonna come when you tell me to come. And so, but an interesting thing that I had not thought of was I had a parent tell me, nobody likes the kids having to go to school during the fair. We all know that. But they said when we do start the week before, their child who's involved in so much actually got to go and get familiar with their school before they were gone for a week. And I had honestly never thought of it in that context. And said and that's when she was going into junior high, and she said she got to go and get familiar with her new school with everyone else before being gone for a week. And that was kind of an interesting take on it that I hadn't thought of, so.
Yeah, that is good. And both of these would allow that.
Do what?
And both of these calendars would allow that.
Well, yeah, now the new one that she just handed us, that would be 2 days of school, and the other one would be 4
Oh,
days.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
so, okay. So what does the board want to do?
I'd say let the teachers vote. Let them, I don't think we can make that decision. I mean, we can, but I don't think it's,
No, sir, that, does not count as an instructional day. So if we put those in, then we have to make those days up.
Tanya, when is the budget due? The 14th? But and our board meeting is on the 12th, and so if we have the calendar to approve, but do I remember them saying that the calendar did not have to be included with your submission this time, or it did? It does have to. Okay.
I don't believe you have to approve it before it's
Okay. But we would still slide in, because if we have the board meeting on Monday the 12th. So, okay. Superintendent's thoughts?
I have it ready if you want me to put it back out there with the winning draft and this one. Put it out, but it's gonna be a short, quick turnaround on voting.
I think they have the opportunity to vote.
I say let's put it out for a vote. With draft 5. I mean,
I think the message I would certainly want to convey is that it's not that the board is not approving any of the one that
Yeah.
won, you know, because,
this is just another option.
yeah, that if staff wanted to come back after Memorial Day, that this would be
That'd be,
And have the full week of November, of Thanksgiving, yeah.
so with that, so graduation would probably change, right? I mean,
Yes.
you wouldn't graduate on the 17th. They would graduate on the 24th or 23rd, right, of that Memorial Day weekend.
I'm recommending that we would graduate on Saturday, the 23rd, because that's going into Memorial Day weekend. And families are coming in, and then if the weather's bad, we can move it to that Sunday. And I think it would be easier on our high school staff and all the graduates to just graduate on the 23rd. And I want to put that in the calendar ahead of already on the calendar where graduation is.
Yeah, I think that's smart. Good job.
Mr. Dunlap, what do you think?
I don't like neither one of them.
I know.
That's just me.
Do you think we should put out this other option for them to vote on?
It's going to be really quick. Then we're gonna call another meeting.
No, we have a board meeting
yeah.
in 2 weeks.
Get it back
we
before
could-
the 12th.
We could,
Send it out tomorrow,
okay.
and then probably close it on Thursday or Friday,
Friday, yeah.
and then
Be
it'll be
good.
ready to go.
I just want it to be clear, because misperception can be that the board didn't approve
The first one.
the first one, and that's not the case. It's the board wants to give an option if they want to do that other, you know. And maybe moving forward, you know, well, I don't know, I guess it depends. If we get a resounding no, then we'll be like, okay, we won't try that again, or, I don't know. I don't,
I guess, I mean, the looking at the big picture, it gives you really a whole extra full week in July, right? This option 5 would?
Yes. And it gives you a week of Thanksgiving
Yeah,
with the fall break,
yeah.
but you're coming back on the morning.
Yeah, that's the one that's like,
all right, Mr. Williams, how happy is your staff gonna be to be? Not putting you on the spot at all.
Yeah, we are.
But they still get out in May. I don't
Oh, yeah,
understand
oh,
the
no,
big
I
deal
know,
about
it's
it,
just,
but
you
yeah.
know, I mean,
it's just a perception of
Yeah,
Memorial Day should be the end.
it just,
You're done.
and it could be that, you know, the staff says, no, that's not a problem at all.
Yeah.
But then with that, you'll have to do testing and all that stuff. Would be that last week of after they come back from Memorial Day, right?
I think that does concern me about attendance. I'll be honest. It concerns me about attendance. I think, you know, staff, I mean, because as much as we care about our staff, we have to always think about our kids. It really does concern me about attendance. So if we do this, I would hope that the board would be open to thinking about, okay, you know, which,
Well, and you know, I said it gives you a full week in July, but it also takes a week in May.
yeah. Well, it's the old fable of you cut the top off the blanket and sew it
Yeah.
on the bottom so you can have a longer blanket, you know, and so
Yeah.
it's either way, so. It doesn't work, does it? No. Okay,
I don't know.
so do I hear a motion?
I move that we put the number 4, which was the favorite, and draft number 5 out for the teachers to decide between those two.
With the note that number 4 was
It
accepted.
was- Yes, number 4 was the top pick of the first 4.
And this goes to all staff, not just teachers, right? This goes to all staff? All staff, okay.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
All of our employees.
Everybody that's affected by it, yeah.
Try to get
Yeah. Oh, no, and I know you guys worked really hard at it, and we're not gonna get a higher percentage, I don't believe. I mean, I think that's gonna,
So what are you saying?
she wants the,
They already picked number 4 as their favorite of the first 4. So take that one and draft number 5 and let them choose between those two to see if they want to stick with 4 or if they prefer 5, start later and get out a little later and have the full week of.
did we hear from
Thanksgiving.
any staff that even tossed that idea around? I mean,
Can't see anybody's gonna want to come back after Memorial Day.
No, I don't think, I didn't hear from anybody, but I don't think it was thought about, I guess. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't know. It wasn't.
Well, I have family in California and Iowa and Texas, and they all go into June. And it's not a big deal. It's just, we've never done it that way before, so. But it's up to them. And if they want number 4 to be the one, they need to get off their fannies and vote.
Oh, like neither one of them.
I made a motion. I don't know if anybody, we can let
I
it
don't like
die.
starting in July. I don't like going back
And
after
see-
Memorial Day.
I think we're gonna have to redo the motion simply because of the way it reads of approving the calendar. So I would probably recommend that you make a motion to table it. And then,
Until- oh,
yeah,
okay.
because it didn't, I think it gets in the
Oh.
weeds on the way that's,
It's worded.
yeah,
Okay,
because
thank you.
we can, not- or we can, because what I would need is a motion to approve this one that's presented. So it's either gonna have to go approve the one that's presented or a motion to table. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
I make a motion to table it until the next meeting so that the teachers have a chance to look at another option. Or staff, not just teachers.
I'll second.
And they may not want to do it, and that's fine. but
Motion
at
to
least
table.
They understand we took that into consideration, their thoughts.
Okay, thank you. I'm assuming it went through. Did it all go through? Okay.
Y'all quit, leave me alone.
I need, you need the sticker that says you can do hard things. All right, next, thank you. Next item, consider approval of budget adjustment.
There is one budget adjustment for your approval, and this brings our CD cash into our athletic fund.
Okay, questions from the board?
You said this brings what, Kat?
You guys had voted we had a CD to
Okay, yes,
transfer that cash.
I didn't hear the CD part, I'm sorry.
I never did this second part where we could actually spend the money, so.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, any questions? Or your motion to approve the budget adjustment as presented?
Second.
Okay. Thank you. Next item, discussion of the FY 25-26 budget. to the superintendent, Tanya? Okay, all right.
And I received the 910B5 at 3:25 today, so I've not had a chance to review it. It is a little bigger than what we had discussed at Budget Committee, and that's due to they had added Ls to the calculation, and then also some CTE funding.
That we
So-
had not anticipated
We had
receiving.
not anticipated, yes, that the legislature had given to us.
Okay.
So I did not have that in the projection
No,
for the
that's-
910B5. Of course, there's a 4% salary increase and a 10% medical premium increase. Our risk insurance is increasing 16% this year, which is $140,000. Those are just a few highlights. So I really don't have a whole lot to share with you regarding that. I know we did get our title application submitted, and so
Our risk went up, how much did you say?
140,000.
But percentage-wise, 16%.
Last year it increased 32%.
What percentage of, and I know it's not down to the penny that you will, I mean, because you are so good at this, but what, right now, what percentage of the overall budget are you seeing dedicated to salaries and compensation package?
85%.
Okay.
It normally stays around 85%.
Okay, okay.
And it fluctuates a little bit with our levels, our teacher levels.
That's good. That's really good. Questions from the board? All of these salary schedules show that 4% increase. I know the athletic increment, you did a little bit of a different adjustment there. And so do you want to speak on that, or?
So I worked with our athletic director and the director of that program, Ms. Hutchins, and made some adjustments. I know that a while back, a couple years ago, there was some adjustments there, so just trying to get it a little bit, closing some of those gaps.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you will see on some of those head coaching stipends. And just trying to, our junior high program is, our seventh graders are more of an intramural and not a competitive, so we cleaned that up. And I think those are the highlights of that schedule.
Okay. This is new where we have the over 30 pay scale.
Yes, yeah.
You wondered if.
I'm glad you brought that up.
I thought, and so I wanted to hear the tale of that.
I want to explain this so that you understand. So what happens is when someone hits the 30 mark and they don't move down, I have to increase that 4% because it's required that you get 4%.
Right.
If someone moves into that line, they usually end up getting the 6 or 7% because we've had to skew that bottom line.
Right, right.
So that moves everyone in that 30 and over where they get the 4%, but then it does not skew the bottom line. We can keep it level.
Because you've worked so hard to compress the salary scale, which is great, but I like this. I just was curious.
So then they have a little room to keep to keep growing, but then it doesn't. We don't have to adjust and make the whole
All
salary
the way
schedule.
up.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I like that. Okay. Any other questions on the budget?
I think just one thing as a suggestion, or I don't know if this is appropriate, but during our budget meeting, if we could have something like this, would be very helpful. You know, the meeting we had the other day?
For the budget committee?
Yes. I mean, just because, like, that deal is just an overview, basically, of how the budget works,
So you want the salary schedules?
Yes.
So.
I think, I mean, and that, maybe not for the public people, I guess, that wouldn't be appropriate, right? I mean,
That's what we have on our committees, we have public,
right.
representation.
So maybe that's not an appropriate place to do it. I don't know. I think there's, in that budget committee meeting, I would like a little more information, I guess, about the actual.
And if you could tell me
Budget, you know.
specifics of what you want, 'cause I'm not sure, and it's usually at that point, I don't have a
Don't
whole
know,
lot
yeah,
to share.
I agree with that. Yeah.
And I don't have the salary schedules necessarily completely ready to share those.
And maybe that's something that you share with the members, board members that are on the budget committee later, you know, like when you get them, that way.
Just in a
Because like
finance
if
committee.
Dale comes to me and asks a question about it, this is the first time I've looked at it, honestly, you know, I mean, I haven't seen it, so, you know.
And
that'd be
I
just
think
beneficial.
that, you know, when we know that, like for this year, a 4% raise, okay, so we're gonna know that all of the salary schedules, that's what they're gonna show is a 4% raise. But I think any additional, you know, like some tweaks that come every year because you guys get to talking, okay, we're looking at this, let's tweak this. So I think that information to the budget committee when they're saying, okay, yes, you know, we're gonna have the 4% or whatever the state mandated, so this year it was 4%, then would it be helpful if, in addition to the 4%, we are looking at a 10% increase in risk?
And they did tell
Yeah.
her, we did have
And
that
then,
information.
you know, we're gonna adjust this much and 85%, oh, so she did say like 85% of it is going towards
Yes.
salaries,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
So really just the salary scale, you would,
I think it'd be beneficial for me, I know,
Yeah,
to
it
look
would
at
have-
it
yeah.
a little bit before, ahead of time, but it's okay.
I will do my best.
Right.
well,
And
I would say
sometimes
maybe
you
just
don't have-
grab, one of the things, because I look at like a 5-year, you know, maybe just, instead of building the whole schedule, because when I look at it, I'm kind of like, okay, let me grab a level 2 teacher with 10 years experience. Where is that? You know, I think it can be challenging to get the whole salary schedule built, but our custodians, our bus drivers, our certified, you know, okay, so we're looking at this and this and this. But when the amount is mandated, then it's pretty black and white of this is how much it's gonna be, so. But yeah, I think any communication, so that Tanya's always great to whatever we ask her for, is, you know, at the budget, at the board meeting in 2 weeks, we will approve the budget. Is there anything that board members want with that, so that she would have time to prepare for that?
I just have a concern that on our athletic increment schedule, we still have such a disparity there. Cheerleading is year-long, and it's at 8,000, and volleyball is seasonal, and it's at 11,000. Softball is seasonal, it's 8,000. Most of the seasonals, I mean, basketball does more, but they bring in more revenue. That just seems so off kilter to me, that head varsity volleyball is at 11,000 and cheer is at, that goes all year long, and is at
And
8,000.
those sports that were pointed out is where we made the increase when we had a discussion. So let me ask you this. Would it be helpful to have this type of meeting before the committee budget meeting?
With the budget committee? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, absolutely.
So what I would like to propose for next year is that I'm going to build a budget calendar so that you would know when to expect what, like, not specific date, because, you know, that changes, fluctuates, and of course your 30 and 60-day sessions, but like February, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
March, that type of thing. So would that
I think that would be helpful.
And one of the things I've thought about with the cheer is it's actually 2 different roles. There's cheer sponsor during the fall,
season, yeah.
and there's then the competitive season starts in January, which aligns with the spring. So I think that's where, you know, almost there's an increment, because I think if we go in and look, which I was looking up something else, but there's probably an increment for, I don't know, student council sponsor or junior high, you know. So even though it's probably the same person, it's really two different things. I'm not saying they're not working on it, but isn't that, did I dream that up? I thought somebody talked about that before, and maybe I dreamed it up, that the cheer in the fall is, you're a cheer sponsor, but you're not in the competitive season, you know. Okay, we'll take tennis or swimming. Some of the, you can practice tennis all year long, but the season is in this part. So, personally, I would like to see us go to what we've seen in some other districts where every head coach has this base amount, and then it's X number of days based on their level, level 2, level 3, et cetera, because then that gets into your academic part as well, But I hear what you're saying, because cheer is 11 months out of the year.
But I don't see on the increment schedule, I don't see one for cheer sponsor.
And so that may be something to,
Athletic one?
We, we don't have a cheer sponsor, it's the cheer
Just the
coach.
cheer coach.
so then is she coaching the entire year, and so.
Because they cheer at football and they cheer at
Coaching
basketball and
sideline
they cheer all year long and then they go competitive.
They start their competitive stuff in the summer, really, But, I don't know.
Okay. Anything else that you would like from Tanya before our board meeting in 2 weeks?
And Ms. Baker, I just want some clarification. So do you want me, are you asking me to go back and relook at the athletic schedule or increments? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Oh, I don't know. What does everybody else think? Am I the only one that thinks that's so off kilter?
Well, I can get in the weeds on spring sports
Yeah.
when baseball and softball earn this much and tennis, track, and golf earn this much. I think everybody's trying to do something, and I like seeing the increments. I just worry about how we're going to pay for all these things, and that's the part that's concerning me. It's not that our people are not deserving. It's like, how do we pay for all of these things? And so, I really appreciate that there is an increase. I think it's something to look at, but I don't know that, I would like there to be some thought into what would that look like, and so, as you said, you're working on doing something different for next year. Maybe not do it in the last, not you, but as a leadership team, we don't do this in the last month. It's like, okay, where are we looking at it,
Well, I think to your point with the cheer versus like volleyball, look at the athletic trainer is paid the same as head football coach but that's a year-round deal too, right? He's there.
Multi-sports at one time and covering summer conditioning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to, I don't know.
I have been researching other districts, what they've done, and I know before my time, there was research done, right? And while we want athletics and activities for our kids, we want them to have something to do, and it's getting harder and harder to find coaches and those people to take those responsibilities on. But I will say that we are educators first before we are coaches. And I like the idea of having a base pay and then paying our people according to where they are on the teaching salary schedule. Because you're reinforcing you're a teacher first and then coach. You can't live on you can't live on $16,000 a year. And again, it is so extremely difficult to fill those positions because it's getting harder and harder to be a coach and a ref.
Oh, yeah.
And it's extremely difficult. And those people go in 100% and they give everything and they're passionate about what they do. And they truly don't complain. They just go get it done. And so I do want to honor that as well, but there's a balance. And the whole thing is, making sure that we can afford that and keep up with that. But this athletic schedule, I've tried to honor what I have been asked to do, to really try to look at those different positions and.
Well, and I see where we've added an assistant athletic trainer, which I'm all in favor of, to not spread our trainer so thin, because like you said, he's
Well, just like in the
multiple sports.
spring, we
Yeah.
have tennis, softball, and baseball at home. He is truly running all
All over the
around.
place. Yeah, no, I think
And,
that's a good, that's a
And
good
then
choice.
you have out of town sometimes that they ask us to bring our people too, so, yes.
I think that we all agree that it needs to be looked at. My recommendation that we, right now, I like the way, but I was gonna show you that, but, I do appreciate that, like you said, on the meals even, trying to get a little bit of an increment each time.
Yeah.
And to continue to look at it, so that we wanna be fair, but we need to be able to pay for it, you know, so. Anything else on budget?
Oh, ma'am, thank you.
Okay. Anything else before we? All right, thank you to the big crowd that showed up. And do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.